came up with this tongue twister, at least from a French speaker perspective. Networks are high net worth. So if you're not familiar with the theory in economics, the network tends to be natural monopolies, meaning that they have such a high value, but in the meantime, the cost of maintenance is also super high, and they tend to be naturally monopolized by entities because the market situation, so the size of the market relative to the infrastructural cost, makes them prone to give overwhelming advantages to the first movers or to the largest suppliers. And if you look at monopolies, they're usually either run by a public company or run by a private one that extract lots of rent. And when the market is too small, and it happens all the time, there is not even a network that appears. And in this case, crypto economics can be super great because it makes new market appear. And the reason why I care personally, well, I think it's super cool. As I told you, I came up for the economics and I stay for the crypto. And blockchains are really the perfect medium to build such systems. And I think we are, maybe in 10 or 20 years, we'll be like, oh my God, so many things happen thanks to crypto economics. We can better study human behaviors, and we have so many new business models. So the little agenda that I want to share with you is we're going to look at the different type of token, the two main types of tokens. And from those tokens, we're going to take a look at some examples of token models. And we're going to finish by a little experiment if you want to play around. So first off, let there be tokens. A simple definition of token is that it's a digital artifact that represents a metered resource. They are really super efficient unit of account, and the reason why they are super efficient unit of account is thanks to the smart contracts. So smart contracts is a big word for something rather small. It's neither really smart nor really contract. It's damn simple. It's just softwares deployed in a blockchain. And as such, they inherit all the property of the blockchain. So immutability, tamper-proofing, and so on and so forth. The best way to think about smart contracts is that they are software that you deploy in a super secure cloud system that will never let you down. And it's always tracking everything that happened to the software where somebody is interacting with it and so on. First off, the most well-known smart contract, the ERC20 Standard. It's a smart contract to make tokens that are both tradable and fungible. And as a software, they have various functionalities, such as reporting the total supply, reporting the balance of a specific account, pre-authorized transfers, and so on. And they are very suitable if you want to build systems that have reward and penalty systems. Because you can put the reward based on the token and put the penalty based on the token as well. And they had a tremendous success. So looking at the statistics on the ERC20, this is by far the most popular smart contract. We have 7.6% of all the contracts in Ethereum are ERC20s. That's 213,000 smart contracts. If the ERC20 was like a class of identical tokens, the ERC71 will be a class of unique tokens. So they are especially good to design games and to design collectibles. And if you have looked at the Ethereum ecosystem already, you probably have seen this kind of cats, the crypto kitties. They went completely viral 1.5 years ago. And the ecosystem of the ERC20 721 is also very growing. So looking at the statistics of the ERC71, we have 2,300 contracts currently. We have the highest value ever paid for a collectible was around $170K for this crypto kitty, the dragon. And looking at the activity in the Ethereum blockchain, it's also the second most widely used contract. So now that we know a little bit more about tokens, let's look at different patterns on how we can use those tokens. So first off, general settings. How you should build your crypto economic protocol. Well, let's look at 5 important steps. First, we have to assume monopolistic settings. So raise your hand if monopolistic settings is a new word for you. Okay, so I'm going to explain what a monopolistic setting is. So in an oligopolistic setting, you have to assume that the decision of one person is going to influence the decision of the others. You cannot assume that people are not going to collude, are not try to cheat, are not going to try to influence the whole thing by putting pressure on some parties or on trying to deviate from the basic rules and understanding. And once you are assuming that you are in a situation where people are going to do bad thing, you need to try to figure out what is the best possible desired behaviors of all of those actors. And when you have a basic understanding of where you want the system to go, you try to find economic motivators like reward, escrow, equity, and so on. And after that, you properly design the rules so as to avoid that people do the following behaviors, such as sending an invalid message. So I'm sending a message, and this message cannot be interpreted by the network. So maybe I'm writing in another language, or maybe I'm writing something that is incomplete. You need also to prevent people to send, to fail to send a protocol message. So you need to make sure that everybody can get connected, can communicate with the others. Third, you need to make sure that nobody will forget to send a protocol message. And finally, you need to make sure that the way you are treating the message in the network is something that is not prone to equivocation. You need to make sure that the people that are sending the message can always understand what the message means and will be penalized if they are sending things that are not univoc. And finally, the cryptography is making sure that the whole thing has lots of integrity. So that's pretty theoretic, but we're going to look at a practical example right now. So one very fun way to do crypto economics is called token-curated registries, or TCRs. And we are interacting with lists all the time. Humans really love lists. I came to Tel Aviv yesterday and I was looking for a restaurant. So the first thing I did was looking at ratings of restaurants nearby. But how can you trust those restaurants are properly rated? We hear about scandals about rating all the time, and if it's just restaurant, that's fine. But if you need to have a recommendation from someone, or if you need to do business and are looking for the proper partner, then this list becomes even higher stakes. So TCRs aim to put some skin in the game on people that are creating those lists and creating mechanisms that maintain the high quality of the lists. So what we want to do with TCRs is that we want to enable the creators and the curators to extract value from the list they are creating. And we want to have better coordination and bring more people into the game so as to get even more better ratings and even more solid rating. So the way we do that is, of course, with a token. Otherwise, it would be called token-curated registries, right? So in order to submit new items, you make a token deposit. And if the item is accepted in the list, then you get back your deposit and maybe you get a reward. But if the new item is bad, then you get slashed. You lose some of your deposit, and the people that curated the registry will get a reward for curating. And therefore, the system disincentivizes the participants from submitting bad listing. So I'd like to show you a little bit more about those token registries. So let's go to the next example, which is called Keros. Keros is basically an arbitrage court, a decentralized arbitrage court. And arbitrage is a very important thing in business. When two corporates are doing business together, they come up with a contract, and this contract has arbitrage. Like, what if we have thought about in the contract doesn't cover all the situation? Then in this case, we have an arbitrage clause, and if something bad happened between our deal, then we want to go and ask arbiters what they think about it. This is a very easy way to gain trust in the relationship, because if something happens, we're going to ask the arbiter to do so. But it's also very costly and very inaccessible for small deals. So Keros was trying to, was aiming at tackling this problem, bringing more arbitrage to small deals. And it's a cooperative non-profit. And as a disclaimer, I have to say that I own $300 of Pinakion, because I like to play around with this cooperative. And what you can do with Skleros is create many different kind of arbitrage and let a decentralized court use a token model to solve the arbiter case. So as a token holder, you will stake your token in the court, so signaling your ability of being a juror. And you can be drawn at random to be a juror for any case. And if you rule incoherently with the other juror, you will be slashed. But if you rule coherently, you get rewarded. So imagine that you have a conflict with someone and you'll be like, okay, let's agree to ask Keros, let's provide the evidence, and let Keros decide whether you're right or whether I'm right. And there is a reward model based on this with a lot of math. And if you want to chat about this reward model, I'll be right here on the breakfast after this. So in order to test these models, because you may think like, well, it's pretty good, like decentralized court system, like tell me about it, but does it even have a practical application? The answer is yes. They tried to test their models on creating the largest possible list of Dodge picture. Like you probably seen this face already, it should be pretty familiar. So they set up this website, Dodges on Trial. You can check it out right now. It's the largest curated list of Dodge pictures. So the way it works is that as a participant, you will lock a little bit of Ether. You decide how many Ether you want to lock. So that's your stake in the game. Then you submit an image. Then the image stays here for a couple of days. Leaving time for people to challenge your picture. Is it really a Dodge? Is it not a Dodge? What are you submitted? Are you showing a not safe for work picture, and so on? And if nobody challenges you, your picture will be accepted, and you will get rewarded of a couple of Dodge, because they were giving away Dodge for this, and you will also gain some Ether in certain cases. But if someone challenges you, you have to commit also skin in the game into challenging you, because you don't want anyone to be challenging you for no reasons. And then the arbitrage is done by Keros. So the jurors of Keros gather up, they get drawn at random, and they decide whether the picture that was submitted was a good item or a bad item. And eventually, if the case is ruled against the submitter or against the prosecutor, both of them can appeal the court and ask for a second judgment. And in the end, the image is either rejected or accepted. So they did that for a couple of months, and they tried to test the model on the resilience of the whole model itself. So they started by saying, like, well, if you manage to send the picture of a cat and it gets accepted, then we will award you for 2 Ether and 1 CryptoKitties. So they wanted to see if the challenger was really incentivized in looking at the picture that were submitted and curating it properly. So after months, nobody managed to send a cat picture. So they decided to higher the stakes. So they proposed that if anyone was able to send a cat picture accepted on the list, this person will get 50 Ether. You want to get 50 Ether? You should try this. So this happened. Somebody sent this picture to the list. And it started the Keros versus Ricky case. What do you think? Is it a cat or is it a dog? Well, people were not agreeing on whether it was a cat or a dog. So it triggered the Keros case. And we had to decide, was it a cat or was it a dog? So the submitter was claiming that he genuinely submitted a cat picture. And everybody was like, yeah, but it turns out that in the general terms and condition, the curators should be able to tell unequivocally if it was a cat or a dog. So it triggered a case, and I had the luck of being one of the jurors on this case, and I ruled against. I meant that the general term and condition wasn't appropriately followed, and thus Ricky should not get his 50 Ether. So the cooperative kept his 50 Ether. But many people ruled against, and we were lucky that Ricky didn't win, because it would have depleted the small multisig of Keros. Anyway, we can also play a little game if this whole setup interests you more. In the Consensus Paris office, we came up with this experiment on crypto economics that I would like to share with you. It's called the Rainbow Token, and if you manage to either tell me how to solve the game, because there are ways of solving this game. So if you manage to give me those ways of solving this game, I will give you one of the CryptoKitty of my personal collection. And if you manage to win the game, because there is also a way to win the game, I will also give you a CryptoKitty of my personal collection. So let's look at this game. It's called the Rainbow Token. You can access it by this link, rainbowtoken.herokuapp.com. You need to have installed a wallet called MetaMask. It's fairly easy and simple, and you will get free Ether if you connect to the Ropsten network. So this is the landing page. You have a button here, Start Playing. And in order to start playing, you need to click on the button. And what it will do, it will create an ERC71, a unique ERC71, minted and given to your address. What do you do with this ERC71? Well, you can blend with your own color. You can set up your blending price, and you need to reach the consensus blue. So we take your address, we create a token ERC71 that has a color based on your address. We randomize a little bit and we create this color. This color is RGB, so the general spectrum for creating colors. And you can click on anyone else's token and blend with them. And you need to try to blend with people, pay the price to blend, and in the end, try to reach the consensus blue color. So for example, if I click on, I'm the gray one, I'm China Octopus, so if I click on the green one that has 0, 255, 0, I will be blended with him, meaning that my own color will be the mean of both of our colors after we blend. And the person that was blended with gains some Ether, and myself, I just gain the color. So hopefully you're gonna denial of attack this app, and I'll be happy to look at how you managed to do this. So please try yourself, try your chance on beating this game. And that's it for me. I would like to take questions if you have any now.
Is there a token model or a token in specific that is your favorite aside from Ether?
So I really love DAI because of all the forms of DAI. So DAI is a token that is pegged to the dollar. So it has kept its value since roughly 2 years. It's been pegged to the dollar for roughly 2 years, using incentives for people to buy more DAI or sell more DAI in order to keep the price pegged to the dollar. And what is, besides this old model that managed to keep the DAI pegged to the dollar, what amazes me is that the whole innovation around DAI. So now we have variations around DAI, such as the C DAI, only the interest that you can win on DAI. You have the LS DAI, you have the I DAI, the R DAI. It just started some innovation on top of this. And I definitely believe that we are going to see lots of more amazing things appear from this kind of applications. And as I mentioned, I'm a big fan of Keros and of the Pinnacle token. So everybody should try to be a juror once. It's a cool experience to give your opinion on something, give justifications, and in the end, if you rule properly, meaning if you are coherent in your ruling, get rewarded. It's like paying people for being rational, which is great.
Thanks, Jerome. Good stuff.
Thank you all.